I did see the Red Table Talk today. Again, I encourage anybody who would like to comment on mess to ring me up. Okay, so here's, let me just say this. My first and primary reaction to all of this is Will Smith and Jada are so freaking smart. These people are so smart and they are so savvy. And being famous, super, super famous people for 20, 25 years, they have really learned how to control the narrative in a way that is just chef's kiss. It is so remarkable. We got a little glimpse of it during the Jordan Woods thing, you know, what they do when there is family drama. And we are really seeing how they operate when there is family drama. I have always said that the Smiths, they practice strategic vulnerability. So they give us just enough to make us think that we know them, just enough for us to be intimately invested in their relationship, intimately invested in their success. And they have been doing that for years. Like, I remember when I was a little kid seeing, weren't Jada and Will on an Essence cover? I feel like there's a really famous Essence editorial spread of them where she's like laying in his lap or something like that. Like, they have always gone out of their way to present themselves as an ideal Black Hollywood couple. Their shit is together. And then we got a little glimpse of their shit not being together. It's not all the way right. It's messy like the rest of us, right? And so, and you know what? Will Smith even alluded to this when he said, I feel like the political wife who is standing by her man, right? Like, these public displays of cohesion, these public displays of solidarity are really important for them being able to maintain the brand. So especially now, since both of them have these new social media fueled public facing careers, you can have that career no more if, you know, people don't believe you. If people don't believe that y'all are in love, if people don't believe that y'all are a united front, all that shit crumbles. So I believe that they genuinely have affection for each other. I don't know these people. I also believe that this is very much a business arrangement, that they basically acknowledge that ain't no getting out of it.
25 years and counting.
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
We are united in this, and you know, they did it. And not only are they strategically vulnerable, but they are able to do it in a very, very compelling way. And that's talent, y'all. It's talent. Everybody can't do that. I saw some chicks talking about Jada is a predator. How you feel? So I would be hesitant to use the word predator, but here's what I will say. If August were a different gender and Jada were a different gender, I think that most of us would not be hesitant to call out some of the kind of iffy things about the way that this sexual relationship began. So I watched that entire August Alsina sit down with Angela Yee, who is not my favorite, but I'll give it to her. She really did well with that interview. And he talked about how much hell this man has gone through. Oh my God, like fractured, broken relationship with his mother, addict, sister died, now is a caretaker to children. Did his brother die? Is his brother still alive, right? This is a young person. He's 27 right now, still a youngish man. And back then when they were really fucking with, literally fucking, but like when he was first introduced to the Smith family, like he was really in it. He came to them because he was in a bad place. Everybody in the situation acknowledges that. He was at rock bottom. So he's young, he's vulnerable. We know that he does not have strong family support. He's coming into this super rich, super powerful, famous Black family. What they present, a central part of their brand is being a strong family unit. He's definitely vulnerable. The Smiths definitely have a power position. And I absolutely think that anytime we are entering any kind of relationship, friendship, romantic, mentorship, we really do have to be cognizant of the power imbalances and how that shapes our interactions. And so I said all that to say that Will and Jada had all the power in this relationship. August had no power. And Jada is almost twice as old as August, right? Probably as old as his mother. That's no shade. It's just a statement of fact. And so choosing to enter into a sexual relationship under those circumstances, now I'm not going to say predatory. I don't know. I'm going to say it's questionable. It's certainly questionable. And again, imagine, now look, I don't always think that it's useful to say flip the genders or swap the genders because, you know, men and women have a long history of different kind of stuff. But I am going to say that one of the reasons why a lot of us approach our analyses of male-female relationships a certain way is because we understand the societal power dynamics and the history. And I think a lot of that stuff absolutely applies to a sexual relationship between Jada and August. And obviously, if he was between 21 and 23, he's a legal adult. He can sign all kinds of paperwork and buy a house and buy a car and all that. That does not mean, I mean, look, we talk about Monica Lewinsky, right? In the same way, like, right? Monica Lewinsky willingly entered a sexual relationship. Now, obviously, it's not exactly the same, but she was about the same age, right? So I think that we understand that even if you are a young adult, an early 20-something, you are susceptible to certain stuff, and that the onus needs to be on the person with the most power, with the most clout, the person with the most stability to make good choices. And I don't think Jada made the best choice. And I will say that when Will was sitting there, he was looking at Jada like, you know, why you got us? Like, your messy shit got us here, you know? And like they alluded to, toward the end of the little red table talk, Jada alluded to Will getting her back, like whatever that means, you know, like I assume it means that he been out here laying it low and spreading it wide, but we don't know about his shit. Now, do we not know about his shit because Will is more conscientious of, I don't know, getting people to sign NDAs or making sure that they're not going to be out here messy, releasing videos and all that kind of like. So if you're in that kind of partnership, then yeah, you probably would be a little upset. Like, now you got me out here looking crazy. I absolutely believe that people are giving her a lot of leeway because she is a woman. Absolutely. I think that he's extremely emotionally damaged by this, and I think she should take responsibility for her part in it. Sorry, it got cut off. I agree. Do you believe it was right for him to spill his truth in such a public manner? Kind of superheadish to me. Well, first of all, I don't have any, like, the assumption there is that to be superhead, or her name is Corinne Steffens, to be Corinne Steffens and tell your truth publicly is wrong. I don't believe that it's wrong. I have no problem. I have no problem with people being honest about their experiences. So no, I think that it's his story to tell. And, you know, like he gets to tell it, right? I don't think that we get far by telling people to keep other people's secrets. That's not really his responsibility. And frankly, the Smiths didn't have to say anything, right? They could have just let this die out. They are deeply invested. They chose to respond because they are deeply invested financially, publicly, in trying to maintain a certain kind of image. I don't have a problem with August Alsina, and I don't have a problem with Corinne Steffens, because Diary of a Video Vixen is a classic. It was uncomfortable to watch the Red Table Talk. I didn't find it uncomfortable. I love that shit. Oh, that is my shit. I love people spilling their guts. That's why I love reality TV. Wasn't August just on Red Table Talks and it didn't seem sexual then? I mean, how do you know if it's like I have had people, no, I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say I have sat next to people, invited people on this platform who I have had an intimate relationship with, and you can be professional, right? Like, that's not hard. Do you feel like Will and Jada threw August under the bus? I didn't feel like they threw him under the bus. I felt like they were upset that all of the conversation that August started forced them to address it publicly. I do feel like Jada was trying to be she was trying to be evasive, right? And being like, oh, it was an entanglement. No, girl, don't come on here and try to be evasive. Don't use euphemisms. Like, let's just be honest about what it is. And I thought it was really interesting. You could see Will kind of be, and of course I'm projecting, I don't know these people. I'm not a body language expert. I'm not a psychologist. But it certainly felt like Will was frustrated with the way that Jada was trying to cop to as little responsibility in the situation as possible. Are Will and Jada in an open relationship? What were the results in that inquiry? I don't think that they have not ever said whether or not they are in an open relationship. Entanglement is the new unconscious. Oh, I think you mean conscious uncoupling. And yeah, I'ma use it. Entanglement. That's funny. Can we talk about Will being incredibly emotional? He looked really hurt, or maybe he's a good actor. Did he really know the extent of the relationship? Oh, let's talk about that, because I don't know. Like I said, I think these people are trying to manipulate us. So I think it's difficult for us to try to say this is real and this is acting. Maybe it's both, right? Maybe it's method acting, right? Where you literally put yourself in the shoes to get to that emotional place. But I do think that a reason why I am giving Jada a side eye is just think about this. Really think about this. Your partner brings somebody into the fold of your family. This person becomes Your partner brings somebody into the fold. This partner becomes like a cousin, a nephew, a surrogate son, whatever. You extend yourself to them, and then your partner, who you're estranged from, right? They said that they were going through it. So then your partner, who you're not even really fucking with, decides to have sex with the person who you have embraced as a nephew, a little cousin, like a surrogate. Like, that shit is fucked up. I'm trying to give Jada an out. I'm saying that to me is fucked up. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Do you think their kids knew, and will that be damaging to them? I don't know. I can't, this is speculation. I don't have, but I mean, how could they not? Now, something I have noticed is over these past couple days, y'all have unearthed every single picture of Jada and August together. They were at concerts. They were at red carpets. Y'all saw them. Y'all got them in pictures walking down the street. Like, they spent, you all got every selfie they took together. They spent a good deal of time together. And Willow and Jaden, like, by this time, they're teenagers. Like, come on. I'm sure, come on. We all know about mom's friend. Like, so it would have been okay with anyone else but Jada? So it would have been okay with anyone else but August? I don't know, but I do know that the specific details of this relationship make it exceptionally messy. You know, it's like you're a rich, famous person. You don't have to go there. You know, don't shit where you eat.
Number one, my first concern, I feel like it's always, for me, very weird when there's a huge age gap between the parties. So I'm like, he was in his early 20s. She was assumingly in her late 30s, early 40s. That is weird. And I'm like, why? For me, I always consider like, why would someone in their late 30s, early 40s, not go for someone who's also in their late 30s, early 40s. I'm like, that's weird. I'm
That is
like, even
weird.
me, I'm 26 and I'm like, I don't want to date someone who's 20, 21. It's just weird. I'm just like, we're at different points in life. And now she, as a super famous person, is kind of navigating this relationship. And I'm like, Jada is not dumb. Will is not dumb either. And I'm like you were saying before, like it is a business relationship. And they're only, I feel like, making that decision to come public about it because they want to control the narrative, because they want to capitalize off it. And maybe possibly because they don't want it to ruin the Red Table Talk brand. And even, I mean, Red Table Talk is a award-winning show. So I'm like,
Yeah.
the fact that they're able to leverage that kind of platform, I'm like, insane. And I'm like, I just have deep concerns because I know ultimately Will and Jada, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars and they're going to be so okay.
Yeah.
In August, I don't know his net worth. I mean, he doesn't have a support system. He doesn't have a community. And I mean, it's just really concerning, you know?
Yeah, I think that when, like you mentioned, when you realize that all of this spectacle, all of this attention is only going to bolster Will and Jada's brand, it's
Yeah.
only going to make Red Table Talk more popular, they're going
Yeah.
to come out fine. Right. And in fact, we're going to come out with people saying, look at the honesty. Look at how honest they were. Look at how they were able to work through the ups and downs of marriage. Meanwhile, August Alsina is still out here trying to get people to listen to his music. No shade to him. But, you know, like
Yeah.
he is still trying to develop a solid foundation for his adult life because he has really been through some shit. And
Right.
also, let's us continue to talk about the age thing. Look, I'm 31 years old. If a 21-year-old came around here, I'm like, you don't need to be studying me. You need to get in them books. You need to study, like, I can give you some book recommendations, okay? You can spend time with that, but you can't spend time over here because I have grown folks problems.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I wonder what her community was, because of course she has to be in community with other people. I'm like, even though she's relatively famous, she's extremely famous. My thought would be she would develop some kind of community around her that would be like, hey, like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you with someone who's in their early 20s? Like, what's going on? What's internally happening in your world that you decided to make that kind of decision? And I'm just like, oh, it's concerning. Oh, right. I don't know if they're happy. They don't seem happy. And I feel like they've settled in the fact that Will and Jada, they've settled in the fact that they're going to ride it out, like they said in the show. And I feel like throughout various other Red Table Talks, they decided they're going to ride it out because of the class implications. And I mean, I feel like
they have a
this is the
brand.
start.
You know,
Exactly.
their brand is we're married. We're gonna be married forever. We're gonna work through it and, you know, live out the rest of our days. Like that's very powerful. They're not the first people to stay together for the brand.
And I'm very interested because, you know, the thing about it is kids always reveal the realities that are happening in people's homes. So I'm like, when Willow and Jaden grow up and they write it tell, oh, what else are we going to learn about? Or I'm sure we're going to hear about other kind of things that are exposing the cracks in their relationship as time moves on. I just wouldn't be surprised to see and hear about more folks who they've had questionable engagements with. And I mean, people always, I feel like, frame like, people always say like Hollywood is a weird space. People do weird shit, but what it is predatory and it's abusive. And people there have acquired so much power that they feel like they can do whatever the fuck they want without any like ramifications. And I'm just like, ugh. I just have concerns, and I hope August at the end of the day is okay. I want him to be okay, and hopefully he gets the things he needs, and that they don't, I feel like, continually use the platform to like create a narrative where he doesn't have the space to heal. So, yeah.
Thank you, Ugo.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think, you know, somebody posted, why is this our business? Well, they made it our business, right? Like they made it, they incorporated this drama into their business And so now it's our business. I mean, really think about the fact, like I said when I was talking to Ugo, that they are only going to be further enriched by this drama. I mean, like, this is like straight out of the Kardashian, like, Jenner playbook of, oh, is some messy shit happening? Well, let's make sure to get it on my platform, and let's make sure that I get my say. And so now I have the opportunity to control the media narrative. So now it's no longer about, you know, what August said and the weird song and video that he released. Now it's going to be about the what I believe, the carefully scripted, the carefully outlined production that comes directly from Will and Jada. Like, that's some boss shit. I mean, if that's what you aspire to, that's some boss shit.
My main thing, hi Kim, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Tiara?
I'm doing well, just getting over a little cold or whatever. My biggest issue is that it's just he was emotionally and mentally unavailable. And she said that she got with him to feel better about herself and to make herself feel good and all of that. Right. And you have all the money in the world to like go see a professional that can help you really work through your shit and make you feel good. And you use that. Even her even saying that to me was problematic. I'm like, is she really on here admitting that she used a 25-year-old man or a 21-year-old man to feel better about herself? And she has all this money and she can go and tap into a resource, a trained and licensed professional to help her feel better for herself?
Yes.
Better about herself? Like, yes. I didn't understand that. Like, that makes no sense to me.
Yes,
you
and you know what?
Saying it. Very cringeworthy.
So this is why I think that we maybe need to keep the same energy. Because if this was, you know, one of those raggedy black men, right? If like Snoop had come out and had this kind of relationship with somebody and been like, I was just trying to, you know, my childhood and all that, we'd be like, nigga, you grown. You're rich and you're grown. So you need to use all of those resources to work on yourself. But I do think that we are being much gentler, much kinder to Jada when she's like, oh, you know, he was broken and I wanted to heal him. And we have those mother biases, you know, those mother words where we're like, oh, she just wanted to help him and all that. And that leads us to minimize the very real suffering that the person with the less power in this dynamic might have experienced.
And additionally, my other issue, see, I've been kind of done with Jada when she had Rachel on the Red Table Talk. And she was telling Rachel, like, kind of like, shouldn't we be more open to white women? I said, oh, she didn't do the readings. And I kind of was done with her then. Because I'm just like, why are you creating a table and inviting a black woman on here to telling her she should be more open to Ellen Pompeo? No, Shonda Rhimes has been open enough to Ellen Pompeo. We don't need no other black woman opening their arms to this white woman. Absolutely not. That shouldn't even be the messaging on your Red Table Talk. So she had been sat to the side for me then. And then this, I was just like, this is unacceptable. Yeah. And I don't know why people think that it is. This is literally a power. People like, what a lot of people are questioning what the power dynamic is. I said, she's Jada Pinkett Smith. She has a poem in Tupac's book dedicated to her. What do you mean? What is the power dynamic? Even if it's not, let's just say we was to take Will out the picture, which we can't. She is like one of those black celebrities that black people feel like never got what they deserve. So we're always going to be on her side anyway. So she has that thing going for her. I don't know what that is, but it's like a thing that we do in our culture.
That is, you're right. Yeah.
That is a thing we do in our culture. And she definitely has us with that. But no, she does some things that I think are just she has too much money and too much access to do some of the things that she does. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Sorry to put you on the spot, Portia, but you're the only other person in here. Hi.
Hi, how are you, Kimberly?
I'm good.
Good. So I know the bare minimum about this, just because for personal reasons I don't want to know the details. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that in some way she groomed him. I looked it up the other day, and again, this is why I don't want to know all the details, because I have personal experiences with this where they make you feel, yeah, you might be significantly younger, but you're so mature, and, you know, things can get very possessive and very ugly if they do not get their way. And I don't think this issue just applies to Jada, but I think colorism also plays a part into this. I saw a joke on Twitter once that someone made where they said, oh, you only listen to certain stuff when it comes from a light-skinned vegan, but a dark-skinned woman says the same thing and you swear up and down that she's mad.
Yep.
So I think that that's the reason the Red Table Talk exists in so many ways, because even if she says problematic things, just like Tiara was saying when she said, like, but what about the white women? I mean, fuck the white women, first of all. But I couldn't say that. You couldn't say that because we're both dark-skinned black women. People would be so quick to cancel us and create a hashtag and do all this other stuff.
Well, I guess maybe people might say, oh, well, Oprah gets away with a lot of shit. But Oprah gets dragged all the time. Like, Oprah gets dragged all the time. But what I will say is the other thing about Red Table Talk is the ideas. Okay, well, I'll just accept that I'm never going to be invited, so I'll be honest. The ideas that are presented are so basic. It's not like super thoughtful, nuanced analysis. It's not like new angles to stories that we're all familiar with. It is the most basic commentary. It is the most basic analysis. And it's like, my goodness, like, come, y'all, you needed to really sit and think about this a little bit more so that we could have something new and interesting to say, right?
Right.
And like Tiara said, like, and maybe do a little bit more reading, right? So that you can have a robust conversation about these really touchy subjects instead of just regurgitating talking points from 1995.
Right, or like some cheesy Instagram posts, like, you know, the quotes that came out in like the early 2010s where they'd say stuff like, it's not impossible, even the word itself says I'm possible. I feel like someone could say that on Red Table Talk right now, and, you know, Jada and Willow would be like, wow, what? Are you serious? I never even thought of it that way. And at first, I'm so glad you're saying this, because at first I thought it was maybe a cultural thing, because the last time I was in London, I referenced one of the episodes to my godmom, and she was just like, oh my God, these Americans, they are so extra. I will never understand it. It's not that serious. So at first, that's what I thought it was. But now that I'm hearing you saying it, like, that's how I know it's true, because you're American yourself.
Yeah, it definitely is like light-skinned earth mother cliches, you know, like I eat vegan and I walk in the grass barefoot, like that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Y'all are gonna like fucking, okay, I'm sorry. Do not send this. Okay, thank you. Oh, did you have anything else? Okay, good. Have a good day.
No, bye.
I agree with Will's statement about Jada not controlling her pose. And the reason why I say that is because there are certain things that you're supposed to know when you get to a certain level of celebrity, right? But the way this is spilling out, like it just happened a couple of months ago, I have issues because it didn't.
Yeah.
This is old news.
Yeah.
This is new. This is nothing what Tamara Braxton did or any other woman, including myself, have done in a relationship. So I think that for Will's embarrassment, maybe there was some history. I don't know. I'm not in their relationship. But I am concerned that Jada is having these conversations at this table and they're not addressing any issues. They're just on the table.
Oh, that's a good point.
Dirty drawers, and you put them on the table and you walked away. You didn't wash them. You didn't wash them. It's just dirty drawers on the table. That's it.
Oh, that's a good, yes. And that goes back to the Smiths give us these little breadcrumbs of their personal life or of their intimate life. And it's just enough to like keep us coming back to the table and keep us invested and interested, but we're not really getting anything out of it. And they're not really getting to like, they're not sharing the juicy stuff, right? They still get to keep that. And again, they're still fine, right? That's a really good point. Yeah.
I mean, we all saw Will's face. That man was hurt.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to hear. We need to hear a man hurt behind a woman cheating. That's what we need to hear. We needed to hear Mr. Jenkins' part of when Tamar cheated. We needed to hear when Will got hurt. We needed to hear these stories, but we're not.
Yeah.
Why? Some of us are doing them. We need to hear from the man side. How does it feel to be embarrassed?
Yeah.
How does it feel to be paraded in front of the media as successful as you are, Big Willie style, and me 5 foot something or nothing, less than $105, cheated on you? How does that feel?
Yeah.
How does that work?
These are good points. That is such a good point. Thank you.
That's me.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, no, like that was my whole thing about that whole situation. And then why now?
Yeah, they could have just let it go. I mean, first of all, these rumors have been circulating, like you mentioned, for so long. Like, yeah, there is reason. There's real reasons for them to do it now. Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good day. What about trauma bonds? Her and Will were breaking up. She was vulnerable too. Yeah, but do we think that the level of vulnerability was equal? I do not think that. I think being hurt, yeah, so absolutely. Jada acknowledges that she was very hurt and she has been working through all of this stuff from her childhood and all of that. But I do not think that that means she was in as vulnerable a position as August Alsina. And I also, like so many people who have come on here have said, she has the resources to mend herself, to find counseling, to seek healing. Is it really honest when they have this convo on their own platform? It is as honest as we're going to get, but it's all a performance. It's all spectacle. That's why I have no problem coming on here and doing this live. I have no problem talking about this extensively because they've now made it entertainment. Like they did what they are the best at, right? Making some entertaining shit. And they know it. Hi.
Hi. Your hair looks really cute, first of all. I love it.
Thank you.
But I'm watching this, it was really palpable that they're not here to be Esther Perel. Like they're not here to present that type of conversation. And it was the first time when I was watching Red Table Talk where I felt like really handled by them. Like it was smart, but super annoying that Jada was centering herself the entire time. Like this relationship healed me and it helped me improve. And she never actually addressed the harm that she caused with August.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah, like people are not here to help you become better. They're also actual humans with feelings. That's what annoyed me the most.
Yeah, again, like the shit that we get on men for of using people as a vehicle to get to your best self, right? Like we are more than just buses that you hop on so that you can be a good person. Like there's feelings, there's emotions, there's real traumas there that need to be tended to. I agree with you. Okay, was that anything else? Thank you so much. Bye.
Hi. Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I just wanted to hop on and say really fast that I felt like really terribly for Will, especially because he is such an incredible actor and he like really could not check his face to make it seem like he was like in a space where he could be like, yeah, I want to hear your healing about this and I want to hear your love about this. He just looked like he wanted to throttle his wife and it was really sad and uncomfortable. And I wonder how much like behind the scenes work it took for him to like get himself ready to air this part of himself and his relationship out with everyone when there still very clearly needs to be healing happened with them too. Like what the last person was just saying about Jada being really like selfish in the way that she talked about her entanglement with August. I felt like she was also really selfish in talking about like what she needed in her marriage with Will, because like there wasn't a lot of ground for him to say like, yeah, that really fucking sucked, you know, like.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, all we got from Will was I didn't think I was ever going to speak to you again, and you know I was ready to walk away. And it's so interesting because I never imagined Will being I always imagined that if their marriage was going to end, then it would be Jada being the one to be like, oh, you're not giving me what I need because Will takes up so much space. You know, he's so big and like appears to be very dominant in their marriage. Yeah. So like to see him do that, like I would like to know a little bit more, like what's going on there.
It's just
none of my business.
Yeah, I mean, but did they not make it our business? Just
yes, they made it our business.
It felt like there was all the space in the world for her to say like, oh, I did this because this and I did this because that, but there wasn't a lot of space for him to say, this is the specific ways in which that hurt me, which we know Jada is all big about on Red Table Talk. Someone comes on and she's like, I felt that, my grandmother felt that, my auntie's left pinky toe felt that. Like, you need to atone for the way that made me feel, even if it wasn't like, even if the crime itself wasn't necessarily against her. But this was a trespass on Will specifically. So I was like kind of shocked. Well, was I surprised? I don't know. But like,
I don't know if I'm surprised. Okay, do you watch Red Table Talk? Okay,
yes.
Okay. So the last episode, or I don't know, there was a Father's Day episode where he talked about his relationship to his children, and he talked about how Willow helped him learn how to feel feelings.
Yes.
And I was like,
and we were, that's your daughter. She's a child.
That's not, but you're a grown person. But also that continues something that is problematic of using people as vehicles to get to your best self, right? That's a lot. I think that.
And then also he had a son.
Right. You have two children. You have two children that came before that. Right. So obviously I said that to say that it does seem like Will has some issues accessing his emotions, right? Like he says he's worked through it, but there's probably still some issues, some barriers there, some masculinity stuff there that has not been fully processed.
Yeah, and now that you say that, a lot of that same, like, I used you as a space of healing, obviously, like, we saw that with Jada, and there wasn't a lot of, or really any acknowledgement of the obvious power dynamics that happened in her relationship with Will, and like those same power dynamics, I completely forgot that happened on the Father's Day special, but those same power dynamics, or like similar ones, are present in Will saying like, oh, I used my daughter to be able to like feel on a regular basis. Like, what do we do with that? Like, and as the public,
and what happens to your sons, right?
Exactly.
So while you can access that with your daughter, what happened to your sons while you were not feeling? Yeah, that's real. And then we have to deal, that's the other thing. And then, because I think they're both hetero, or I don't know about Jaden, I don't know if he's fluid or whatever. But then, right, like you have refused to be emotionally vulnerable with your sons, and then they go out to the world and then partner women sometimes. I don't know about Jaden, maybe he's fluid. And then we have to deal with the fact that you don't know how to feel.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm never doing that. If you don't know how to feel, like, I'm gonna buy you a teddy bear, maybe. Like, I wish you the best of luck. Well, anyways.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Hi, I'm Buddy. And I think the reason why we're so upset and all up in it is because relationship goals, relationships that we really know nothing about. And obviously they've created this type of, obviously like Hollywood, Black love, strong love aesthetic that we like to hold on to as the Black community, which I think causes as many problems as it tries to fix, because it kind of dehumanizes them in down the pedestal ways. I think when now they're confronted with like their humanity and ability to make mistakes and not being as perfect as we thought they were, we now want explanations and things. And I don't think they owe us that at all. And with regards to August, I just think we're always complaining and upset about the baiting of Black men and them having such little accountability for their actions. I feel like we've been doing that. Like with him, granted, he was suffering from illness and all these things were happening in his life. True, but he was a grown man at 22 and he wasn't necessarily poor. I think his album was doing well at the time and he was making money. And I think he played he played a role in his own destruction. And watching the interview with Angela, I was able to kind of see him having learned and stepping away and taking that sense of accountability. But I think the overall lesson is to just divest from celebrity culture and leave married folk alone.
Yeah, but
That's it.
so I don't think that this is coddling in the same way because of the specifics of this situation. One, I think that women can be predators. Women can be predatory. Women can abuse their positions of power and influence. And I think that we are inclined when women do that. Like, I do think that we are inclined to kind of sweep it under the rug in a way that does not disrupt like cultures and cycles of violence. Like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit complicated with regard to this particular situation because of how honest he's been about being a recovering addict. Like, that's a big deal. We know that they're in a very fragile emotional state. Sister died, taking care. Like, there's just so much extra stuff, and maybe he's not destitute, right? Like, he's still a moderately well-known person, but I just think that the scales were just not in his favor. They were just balanced against him. And I think that it's useful for us to think of all of the different models of what, I'm not going to call it predatory. Y'all not going to get me on camera saying that. But all the different models of potential power abuses, like, it looks many different ways. And I do think that this is a way, like, it's showing up a little bit here.
Okay, I get that. I completely get what you're saying. But I also feel like if he hasn't described it as such in his candor and vulnerability and transparency, I feel like some of us might be projecting maybe. Like, if Jada, not Jada, if August himself is not like, I was taken advantage of, I don't know, maybe he's suffering from Stockholm. I don't know the specifics of that complex relationship, but I feel like if the person we've identified as the victim or victims cannot even themselves be able to identify that they were victims. There's not one interview where he's like, I was a victim, I was taken advantage of. He completely states that he was in it to win it, but didn't kind of, from my understanding, feel like being a brother husband to Will and wanted more, which I feel was the issue and not necessarily him being taken advantage of. On that part, I'd like to just agree to disagree, because I feel like there were two consenting adults. Perhaps one was going through more than the other, but I don't think he was like a complete victim in the situation and had no autonomy or any type of agency to exit, because when he got the opportunity to and saw the situation for what it was, he did exit. Did he not?
Yeah,
you know? So
but just because you eventually make an exit does not mean that you were not in a relationship that was unhealthy. And I don't even know if it was necessarily about him seeing it for what I mean, I don't know. And I also question the idea that we can never name violence unless the person who has experienced the harm names it that. Like, isn't it our responsibility as like responsible members of community to say that shit was fucked up, right? Like, I don't think that, I understand not wanting to strip people of agency, but I also think that like a part of being in community and setting norms and saying, you know, like, these are our boundaries of appropriate behavior is saying, you stepped outside of those boundaries, right? Like, I think it's all of our responsibility to say, like, if you have power, you need to be really conscientious of the way that you wield that power so that we can have like a society where nobody ever has to feel exploited or taken advantage of. I don't know, but I understand what you're saying. I think it's really tricky.
Yeah. It is very tricky. But yeah, thank you so much for what you do. Bye.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Well, I didn't really have much to say. I guess this whole situation kind of struck a chord with me, specifically because of, you know, age is only one kind of power dynamic that can exist in these kinds of, you said you wouldn't say predatory, but I'm going to say it's kind of predatory kind of situations. Just because it's like, how old was he? Like 21, 22 years old when it was going on?
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone personally would think that
they're a grown adult with with all the knowledge about how to avoid toxic relationships when you're in your early 20s.
Right.
And so then I think like hearing you speak about how there should be more responsibility put on the person who has the more power in that dynamic is really refreshing to me, just because in my life, it was in my experience where more pressure would be put on the victim to know better in the future situations or in things like that. And I kind of see that now with people saying that he should make it more explicit that he was abused or something like that. But I don't think I think there's a little more nuance than that, and that we should at least remove focus off of him, because I don't think it does him any good in the end.
Yeah. So I think you're right, and we do live in a victim blaming culture. And so I absolutely think that because we are all socialized in a victim blaming culture, if you are on the more vulnerable end of an unequal power dynamic in this way, it can be difficult, and I say this from experience, it can be difficult to name that stuff and get clarity on that stuff, because we are socialized to blame ourselves and say, what did I do wrong? And I should have been smarter. And I think that those of us who are grown and have life experiences and understand the nuances of that stuff, I do think that we should use our grown eyes and be like something wrong. Something wrong.
And it was just when you said before about, I didn't know that Will Smith said that he his daughter helped him, create some, emotional competence. And I just find that there's a trend of people using, obviously being 20 isn't like a child, but then using the youth to form themselves at their expense, because how impressionable they are on people. And so, but then it's just they're not tools. And I think it's I honestly do think that some people think that, oh, it's just people help each other improve in life. But then I think it's a little different, just because there's a certain age where even though you're older, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have the most experience in the world. And I think that's just especially in your 20s, it's a really blurry area where people don't know whether they should have known better or are old enough to actually be able to spot these things. And so then I think it's safer to say that people should be basing this off of more relationship experience rather than age.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, hi. I'm coming at you in my bonnet. It's okay. But
okay.
this Red Table Talk, and I was listening to the live, and I was trying to see where my head was at and try to form an opinion for myself. Initially, I was like, what's the deal? What's the problem? Just coming at it from a legal standpoint, but we know that what's legal isn't always ethical. So I was like, okay, he was of age, so what is really coming into play? But then when you talked about the power dynamics, that's when things really started to dawn on me. So as I was watching the Red Table Talk, how lighthearted they were taking it was kind of bothering me. For Will and Jada, it was just yeah, this is just a thing that we're dealing with that we just have to address for you guys, but we're fine with everything. And then when she was talking about where she was and basically how she was using him, I was like, at what point is your personal self-growth taking precedence over another person's being? You know what I mean? At what cost is your self-growth to him as a young person himself? So that's what I was kind of thinking. I was wondering.
Yeah, you know what? I never thought about the tone of the conversation. That's a really good point. So it's so funny because all across the internet, Black Twitter and all the Black commentary channels, we have been laughing at this story this is so crazy and it's so ridiculous and he out here and he whatever. But, and this is all of our fault, we are turning somebody's actual pain. If you watch that interview with August Alsina, he was actually going through it. At some point in that interview, it was about a different topic, but he actually cried. he's suffering, right? Wish him nothing but the best, right? And so we took it as tabloid fodder, and then Will and Jada responded in that lighthearted, like, we're just, this is beneath us, but we're gonna talk about it anyway, like, ha 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 ha. And again, we missed the point. This is all of our fault. We missed the point that there is a real person here who is still gonna be left. He's still gonna be getting trolled on his Instagram accounts. People still gonna be making jokes about him, smashing Jada or whatever and he has to deal with what could potentially be some unhealed stuff within him. And so I do think that it is their responsibility to take it a little bit more seriously. Yeah.
And that was what was bothering me, because as I was like trying to get my on it, I was like, okay. In my head, I have to like figure out what the problem is, and you laughing at it wasn't really helping. But then what she said about like working through her childhood trauma through other people is just like, don't you realize that you're kind of like putting that trauma onto someone else and
yes,
not addressing that like at all? So
such
now
a good point.
You and Will are sitting here and you're like, well, we're gonna stay married and we're growing so much as people and everything's great for us, and then how is the cycle going to continue when he gets older and he's trying to figure out like maybe that he was taken advantage of, because does he even know? But clearly he has emotions about it that maybe he doesn't even feel like people that are 22.
Okay, you're cutting out. I can't really understand you anymore, but I got the gist of this. I'm so with you. They were really irresponsible in that reaction. So true. Shout out to your bonnet. Have a good day.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
Hey, first off, I love you. But I do want to say that I think that a lot of, at least watching the interview, I was even finding myself giving Jada a pass. And then I thought about how often in the Black community, we often fail to call out the female predators that may exist within our communities or in our families. Like in high school, a lot of like the younger guys are losing their virginity to women like twice their age. And it's always passed off as, oh, well, you should enjoy that. It should be fine. It shouldn't be an issue. And I feel like in this situation, it's much similar situation.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be careful here.
Right.
The line is there's a line, right?
Right.
And it's not like the nasty, you're not R. Kelly. It's not the R. Kelly line, but definitely something that we should be cognizant of. And I think that we should actively discourage participation in those kinds of dynamics. Absolutely. First of all, how are we on this when Will has a girlfriend? I don't know if Will has a girlfriend, and if Will does have a girlfriend, shout out to them for keeping their shit private. Again, this would not be any of our, who cares if they have an open marriage? People have been talking about Will and Jada having an open marriage for a good 20 years. For a long time. And they have still managed to maintain their position as a Black royalty. I think that the specifics of this, wouldn't it be up to August as to how the situation should be handled? Sure. But right now, we're not handling the situation, right? We're just responding to what has been presented, right? I think people are just analyzing all of the little bits and pieces that have been presented in front of us. Ain't nobody calling for Jada to be exiled. I thought polyamorous is the right word to describe the Smiths. I don't know anything about that. We wouldn't be even looking at Jada as wrong in the situation if the gender roles were reversed. No, we would. I think we were more apt to say that it was wrong if it were a man. I think it is much easier for us, especially in the era of Me Too, especially in the R. Kelly is locked the hell up era. I think it is much easier for us to recognize predation when men are the perpetrators, because of how we construct in our culture men as being aggressors, men as being dominant, men as being abusers, and girls being victims. That's why, Mary Kay Letourneau just died, right? Mary Kay Letourneau had sex with a 13-year-old when she was a teacher, right? Had sex with, and all of all of the headlines say, Mary Kay Letourneau, the teacher who had sex with her 13-year-old student and mothered 2 children by her. But no, that's not the kind of relationship that was. It was a predatory relationship. She sexually assaulted her 13-year-old student several times, and it got impregnated and had 2 of his children, and they ended up getting married, and they were married until she died. But that relationship was rooted in predation. We, because of our cultural scripts about who was the aggressor and who was the abuser and who is without fault, you know, these sexual things that actually make boys really, really vulnerable. It's really, really difficult for us to see that. Like, I reject the narrative. I reject the narrative that this would be okay if the gender roles were different. So I will say that I think like the question of why do they owe us anything? Like, I mean, they don't owe us, but I do think that if you make the choice to come out in public and use your super popular platform that is going to just make you more popular and more rich and more famous, that I think it is okay to have expectations, right? Like, don't come out here half-stepping. Like, don't come out here trying to sell us no bullshit. Don't pee on our leg and tell us it's raining. I don't think that that's wrong at all for people to say, you could have stayed home, right? Like, you don't have to cut the cameras on. So why give us bullshit if you're going to turn the cameras on? I think that that's reasonable. I don't think that's too much. Anyways, I have to go. I'm hungry. Thank you guys so much for participating. I don't know where this is going to go, but it's going to go somewhere. I appreciate you. Bye.